y'all, it's Nancy, the Handy Scandy. Thanks for joining me for another crafty venture. Today I'm hopping along again with the Handmade Happiness group, and this hop is called Let's Make Snowflakes, and that's exactly what I've done. I have hand painted this card and painted on those snowflakes by hand based on the YouTube tutorial of an artist named Ellen Crimmy Trent, and I will have her linked below. So with her inspiration, I'm trying to follow her instructions because I've never done anything like this, at least not quite like this. Let me say that. So I am using my Canson XL watercolor paper. It's cut down to about, I don't know, 4.5 by 9, maybe 5 by 9. And you can see that I'm pulling out my Daniel Smith watercolor palette. And remember that I'm not a swatcher, so I was checking the color of that blue when I put it on my little board up top. So I'm doing the wet on wet technique, meaning I have wet my paper and my paints are wet and my brush is very wet as well. So I had a little bit too much water when I laid down that first wash of color, so I took my little towel to it and blotted some of it up. And I want that color to move. I want it to be really deep and rich at the top and then to gradiate down to a softer, lighter blue at the bottom. So I actually took my heat gun to it and I dried that first layer. And again, I'm holding my palette, if you will, my cutting board, my Pampered Chef cheese board, and I'm holding it upright, hoping that gravity will work and will pull all of that beautiful rich pigment down to the bottom. Unfortunately, it was dripping in certain spots versus nicely pulling. I don't know. I'm at a loss for words. But anyway, I used my paintbrush to kind of help it out, and then I ended up losing that nice gradation. So I hit it with the heat tool again because all of my shades of blue, all of my layers were just mixing and melding into one. So remembering what I always say is that it's about layers and about patience, because you have to let one layer dry. Otherwise, that's exactly what happens. They just all blend together. So I wanted layers. So again, had to heat it, bring in the heat tool again, lay down another layer of paint, hit it again with the heat tool. I did that several times. And you can see me going back and forth to my palette. I'm not really looking for any specific color, just trying to make it deep and rich and have that ombre effect. So I'm just about finished here. I think I laid down one more layer of the dark pigment up at the top. And yeah, that looks a little bit better. It's more of what I was going for. And so I stopped there, and then while it was still a little bit damp, I used the gouache and I splatted that around for snowflakes. And here I'm using my heat tool to kind of move that pigment around in the excuse me, in the wet layers, because it kind of makes it bloom and blossom. You can see it spreading out there, and it gives it more of like a blizzard effect. So I went in with a couple layers of the gouache to give, again, it's that depth and dimension, right? And so here's where I'm trying to figure out how to make a snowflake. So again, based on Ellen Crimmy Trent's guidance, I pulled out my phone and I went to Google and I looked up vector snowflake images or something like that. And it just pulls up all kinds of free snowflake images, and you can just copy them. I could have printed them. I have a bunch of snowflake stamps. I could have done that as well. So if you decide that you want to mimic this or try to replicate it, feel free to use a stamped image or a digi or whatever you have and whatever you're comfortable with. I just thought, you know what? I'm not going to get better if I don't practice, and I'm just going to consider this a practice and allow you guys to see my practice session. Excuse me. So I'm just freehanding it. I'm looking, you can see there on the bottom left, my phone is open to Google, and I have some snowflake images pulled up, and we all know that no two snowflakes are alike, right? And also some of them are very intricate and delicate and difficult. So I'm just kind of going with a retro mod kind of feel, if you will. And that whole Sputnik situation is kind of what I end up with. But if you just look at one individual snowflake, and you can see how long, this is real time, you can see how long that's taking me. If you just look at one, they're not very good. If you look at the whole card, the whole thing together, it's okay. Is it fantastic? No. Is it artist quality? Beginner artist. We can claim that. This section I have it sped up ×2, so you can see that I'm still going pretty slow. I mean, this is 2 times. It's about to bump up to 3, and it's still relatively slow. So this was not a fast process. The watercoloring back of the background was much faster than the painting of the snowflakes. So I make some small, some big, some medium, some tiny that are just like the little 3 hash marks, not hash marks, but 3 crosses together, if that makes sense. So I try to make each one just a little bit different and stop sweating it. The more I worry about details, the uglier they are. If I just go with my gut, if I just let my hand create how it wants to create, they're not half bad. So here I'm just adding some dots to add to that blizzard effect. And a couple teeny tiny little ones. The ones that are kind of long, like up there in the top 2/3, and that one I just did, and this one, that have a longer tail, I think those are my favorite. I think those are kind of cute. So this is just my process, guys. Nothing difficult. Did it take me out of my comfort zone? Yeah, freehanding is not my thing. But I'm happy with it overall. And these tiny little ones, see just 3 or 4 crosses there, they kind of pull it all together. And this is in real life, slow-mo. It's my favorite part. I love that clean, crisp edge that you get from the tape. Sadly, I have to cut it down to make it fit to my panel. But, oh, I love it. And you can see that I've added some shimmering bliss in there. You know, I gotta do it. So I splattered some and I sprayed some. And I think I have silver as well as dazzle on there, if I'm not mistaken. And of course you can see the white gouache there to the side. And you know, if you have some pigment ink, you could have used that. It's going to be a little more transparent versus translucent. And here I'm trying to write the word peace with my gel pen, and it's not very bold. So you could have done these snowflakes with a gel pen as well. Could be white, could be silver, could be blue. But I just wasn't happy with that. And you know what? I need to practice my hand lettering. They're not very good. So, but again, you know, giving myself space to learn and not judging myself. It is what it is. So I used the gel pen. As I said, it wasn't bold enough. So I came back with some more of that gouache, just followed over my letters. And I just darkened it up a little bit. And I feel like it is very peaceful. It's just a calm little snowflake scene. I'm making snowflakes. So here's my final card. I did trim the top and the bottom down a little bit. I mounted it all up on some foam tape. My overall dimensions, I believe, are 9 by 4 1/4. So that should still fit in an envelope, a legal sized envelope. If not, I don't know. We'll figure it out. There, look at that shimmer and shine, y'all. And you can see that I've added some pearls and some sequins and some snowflakes just to give it some dimension. I have to have some dimension. So guys, again, the Handmade Happiness card hop. The next hopper or designer will be down below. And unfortunately, there are no prizes for this hop. We're just hopping along for fun this time. I'm Nancy, the Handy Scandy. Please hop along and see the creativity of everybody else. Give us all a like, a thumbs up, a comment downstairs, and subscribe if you're not already a member of our tribes. Thanks, guys. Bye.